Hi witches, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode number 77. Today we're going to be talking about Litha, our upcoming Sabbath. We're going to be talking about the Tree of Enchantment, which is a book that I'm going to be reviewing soon. And we're going to be looking at another book which is doing some damage in terms of paganism. So grab a cup of tea, put some incense on, get comfy, and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everyone, welcome back, welcome. Thank you for being here, thank you for watching. I'm Wren, I'm the Cemetery Witch, and every Friday we get together for a cup of tea, a bit of a chinwag about whatever's going on in the world, but specifically witchcraft and paganism, the weather, the change of the seasons, the wheel of the year, and whatever takes my fancy, whatever little ideas pop into my mind in that week. So welcome back. This week we're covering the 31st of May. Today is Friday until the 7th of June. I can't believe we are absolutely whizzing through the year this year. Tea and incense first. So today I am drinking Twinings blackcurrant and blueberry from the Twinings fruit selection. I've nearly finished this box. Blackcurrant and blueberry are like my two least favourite flavours. I don't mind them as actual fruits. However, I have to say this is lovely and I'm determined to drink it this week. I would love to do one of these live. Once I have my internet fixed, we have an engineer coming today. Hopefully it will be a lot faster. I would love to do this live because then I would actually get to sit and drink because you guys would be doing some of the talking as well. Oh yeah, and then incense. Today I'm burning some good old-fashioned nag champa. Can't go wrong with this. I like to burn this one every so often. Never get sick of the smell. Just good old-fashioned, good old nag champa. What a classic. One of my faves. So how are you all doing? How has your week been? What have you been up to? Anything exciting? Please let me know in the comments. Are you ready for the summer solstice or the winter solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere? What are you up to? Have you got any plans? Have you even thought about it yet? That's where I'm at the moment. It's been such a busy couple of weeks. A big shout out to my patrons while we're here at the beginning. Hello guys, we have a lovely group forming now. We have I think we have 40 paid members or 39 and we've got one hovering, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much guys, welcome. Well, the weather, it is like autumn here at the moment. We have had jumper weather. I should really have one on at the moment. It is cold enough for a jumper. We've even had the heating on this week. It's been cold, it's been wet, it's been windy, it's been damp, it's been grey, it's been dark. It has just been awful really, to be honest. I don't mind the rain. I do mind the cold, but I would just like some stable weather for a while. Just, you know, a week. Just give us a week of settled weather. It's almost like we're having April's weather, but really late. So I'm hoping it's going to calm down soon. Typical England, typical United Kingdom weather, rubbish. And we have spiders everywhere at the moment. So just take 20 seconds out if you don't like spiders. So this time of year we have those really spindly ones with really long legs. They kind of see through the legs with a couple of like lines on them. I don't like those ones. They are my least favourites. And then obviously August, September time into October we'll have the really big boys. We'll have the house spiders. But I don't mind those so much almost because they tend to just like run out, run back, or they'll sit in one spot for ages. But I don't like the way the spindly ones move. Oh, they make me shudder. They're beautiful in their own right, don't get me wrong. But I don't like the way they just, they're I don't want to say invade because they've got every right to be here. I'm not one of these people that would say shark infested waters because that's wrong. That is wrong, but please just stay out my bedroom. That's all I ask. I don't mind them being anywhere else in the house. So on Sunday, we decided we would go down to the Rollright Stones and meet up with some friends. We are in a central point for me and my other friends. It means we all need to travel for about 2 hours, and even though all week the forecast said that it was going to rain heavily all day, we were really lucky. So we had lunch in a pub nearby, and then we went out to the Stones, and we didn't get wet. We did, before we got to the Stones, we stopped off at Feel Good Crystals in Little Compton, which is probably not even a mile down the road from the Rollright Stones. So it's a fantastic day out. There's a lovely pub, there's a lovely crystal shop, and then there are the Stones. So we had a picnic there last year, and then we decided we'd meet up this year, and I think we'll do it every year. So we had a fabulous lunch, and yeah, like I said, we went to the crystal shop and then we went on to the Stones. So this time around, I just stayed at the Stone Circle, which is known as the King's Men. It's about 4,000 years old, and it's right next to a very busy, quite dangerous main road. And it's really weird because when you're actually sat at the Stones or just outside the circle, it's really calm and really peaceful. And you forget that you're by a road at all. You forget that there's all this life whizzing past at 100 miles an hour, and it's just really chilled and calm. I think we were lucky with the weather because Tara with us. I always say how jammy she is. She's just so lucky all the time. I didn't wander over to the Kingstone, which is a singular standing stone. It's got a fence around it. I've been there before, so I've seen it, and I didn't go over to the Whispering Knights either, which is about 400 metres east. There's a little track that takes you down there. It's known as a portal dolmen, although the top stones come down now, so it doesn't look like a dolmen, and that is even older. That's about 5,000 years old, and it's probably, they think, one of the earliest funerary monuments in Britain. So it's very old, it's very significant. There have been early Neolithic, beaker, and also early Bronze Age pottery and bits and bobs found in this whole area and surrounding this complex of stones. So very interesting indeed. They reckon with the Whispering Knights, the dolmen, the portal dolmen, they reckon it must have taken about 60 men to move those stones and to erect this. It's a burial chamber. You wouldn't know it looking at it. You wouldn't know that unless you'd read that. But we stayed at the King's Men, which is the circle. So because we spent a few hours in the pub and then we just had a couple of hours at the Stones. So it was really all about catching up. So really nice, really lovely to be back there. A bit sad going there, and Ron and his camper wasn't there. Ron was known as one of the watchers of the ways, so he kept an eye out. He was one of the watchers of the Stones. He kept an eye out, and he would educate people. He would take an entrance fee. He would tell them all about dowsing. He was an expert on dowsing, one of our experts in the UK. And as I reported in an earlier episode of the Witching Week, he did actually pass away this year. So it was very strange to be there and to not see him. I would have liked to have seen him and spoken to him. But we had a lovely time catching up. So thank you to my friends who I met up with. One of them definitely watches the Witching Week. I don't know about the others. But yeah, lovely day. What have you guys been up to? Have you managed to have any sacred sites trips out at the moment? Any trips to the beach maybe? Anything at all summery? The same for the Southern Hemisphere. I feel like this is when you guys tend to do all of your bits and bobs, is actually when it's sort of much cooler for you, although it'll be getting no, I guess it's getting cooler for you if it's going to get warmer for us. Yeah, so again, this is the time when you guys get out and about, isn't it? The other thing that I've been doing is I've been inside. So I've been inside working, battling with our broadband, which is being fixed today, fingers crossed. Like I said, I would love to do some live versions of the Witching Week, but we've never had fast enough speeds to be able to do that. And we've had really an unstable connection. It's been a complete nightmare. I know it's the first world problem, but when you both work from home and your literal livelihoods depend on it and putting food on the table, it's a real pain. So I've got very behind. I haven't been very connected, which I feel really bad about. but hopefully after today I will be much more present everywhere. So I've been inside working, struggling with the broadband, but also thinking of things to read and to review, and I've started only just reading The Tree of Enchantment. So this is about the fairy and ancestral realms. It's perfect for Beltane and the sort of Beltane energy, which I have to say I'm not feeling at the moment. Same for Litha. Midsummer is very much connected with fairies. This is called The Tree of Enchantment, Ancient Wisdom and Magic Practices of the Fairy Tradition by Orion Foxwood, who I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your work. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this though, Orion, just in case you're watching. And there is a comment here by Margot Adler, which really encourages me and makes me look forward to reading this book. It says, Orion is smart, savvy, funny and down to earth with great wisdom about witchcraft and paganism. So what a great tribute. That really makes me want to read this book. So I'm very excited. I've had a look online, and for reviews across the board, it's been scored about 4.6 stars, which is brilliant. And it looks quite involved. It looks quite interesting. So I'm really looking forward to reviewing that for you guys. I'm reviewing it for Fairy Month over on Patreon. So next month, as you know, June, I've got a month which is all about magic, the ins and outs, the mechanics of magic, because I see so much stuff being spouted online like intention is everything. It's all about the intention. No, it's not. There's so much more to magic than that, and there is actual things and rules and laws that we need to be aware of. So magic next month, and then Fairy Month in July. So really looking forward to that. It was quite an expensive book. It was from The Speaking Tree in Glastonbury. I would say their books are usually priced, if anything, lower than they normally are, but there must be something about this book. Maybe when I read a bit more into it and I do a bit more research on it, I'll find a reason why. Like maybe there's not many copies of this around, I don't know. But I was quite surprised at how expensive it was, but I was interested enough that I decided to pay for it. I know a little bit about the Fae, hence me doing Fairy Month over on Patreon. But I've never actually looked at the magical practices of the fairy tradition. You know all about the Fae and fairies, and you know what sort of times of day they prefer, and some of the rules and regulations that people say that you should follow. You know, for example, not giving them your name, so not sort of entering into a contract with them. But yeah, in terms of the actual fairy tradition, which I'm not sure how much that actually has to do with fairies. I mean, obviously it's connected, but I don't know if it's just a tradition in its own right that only touches on fairies, but has a whole load of other things in it, which I suspect it might. I don't know, but I thought that I would learn as well for Fairy Month. So really looking forward to that. What else does it say on the back? So David Spangler, author of Blessing, The Art and the Practice, he said, the magical and healing power of our incarnations arise not only from transcendental levels, but from our roots in the earth, our lineages, and in our ancestors. Orion's book provides a powerful path into these roots, and then out the flowering of an eco-spirituality and eco-magic that cannot help but bring blessings to our planet. And that's what I meant. Like, I imagine that there is much more to this than fairies. I suggest that's, maybe the fairy tradition hasn't actually got anything to do with fairies. I don't know. It would be interesting to see. So that's coming up. I want to talk about another book now. One that was released in March. It's called Pagan America, The Decline of Christianity and the Dark Age to Come. And I think it's really concerning that this book has been written and published. It is by a man called John Daniel Davidson, an ultra Christian name if ever there was one. And he is a senior editor for The Federalist. And he has written articles for news outlets such as The Guardian, the New York Post, the National Review, and the Wall Street Journal. They are not, I'm aware of the Guardian in our country. I don't know if that is the same paper that he's been referred to as having written for, or whether there is a Guardian in America. But so I'm not really aware of these papers and all these news outlets and their leanings. However, as he looks a certain way towards Christianity, and he is part of this anti-pagan rhetoric that is sort of doing the rounds and seems to be on the rise right now, I can imagine which way those papers sort of go for a lot of things. There was an article apparently in the Atlantic on paganism recently that was not very good at all, by all accounts, was really quite unfair and biased. And the worldhunt.org pagan news outlet, they question why the Atlantic, with all the money and resources and connections they have, why they could not source a pagan scholar to give them their point of view on their articles, so that there would be, you know, a lack of bias. I can think of 2 pagan scholars off the top of my head, and you know, I'm not particularly clued up about these things. Yes, I've been around for a while, but I can think how easy it would be to source some people that could give a educated, unbiased view to add to their news. So yeah, it's a little bit worrying at the moment. Glenn Beck, back in April, he is an American radio host and commentator. He actually interviewed John Daniel Davidson, who is basically spreading the message that America is coming head to head with a pagan evil. Basically, we are the bad guys. I agree in freedom of speech, of course I do. However, it does seem particularly hateful, this sentiment that is being spread at the moment, and it's very, very worrying. It's not nice giving airtime to these people. He said, this is John Daniel Davidson, he said, "America as we know it will come to an end. Instead of a republic of free citizens, we will be slaves in a pagan empire." So basically, he's not just talking about paganism as in a lack of Christianity. He is talking about paganism as in our spirituality, but he also says that paganism lacks spirituality. So no positive stuff here whatsoever. He laments the decline of Christianity, and he sees this form of very anti-Christian paganism taking over and ruling the world, basically. He's created this idea of this dystopian reality, this world, and he's asking people to find solace in the history of Christianity. So I think that's a bit scary, because obviously Christianity has been responsible for many, many atrocities over the years, many atrocities in the West. So he's basically asking people to revert back to some of the Christianity and the practices that we had years ago. Yeah, scary biscuits. I just want to know why everything is so extreme right now. And at the same time, I do know the answer to that question, and it is scary to think that we're probably heading towards some sort of new world order, which is the message that he's spreading, but it's not going to happen in the way that he sees it. He says that evil is coming. Yes, Davidson, it is you. You are the evil. You are what we need, you know, to fight against. So yeah, he advises against caution as well, and says that basically this is going to be an inevitability. So he's not very positive. He's like a lot of extremists that seem to come out from America. And apologies to if you're American and you're watching this, because I know that many of you are just sensible and pragmatic and level-headed. This is like fundamentalism that you find absolutely anywhere. But he seems to be very sort of hell-bent on this idea of sort of apocalypse and, you know, people controlling us in a certain way. And yes, I do believe we are sort of headed that way, but not in the way that he imagines. This idea of this war between Christians and pagans and And he does touch upon it as it being us. You know, it's not just that lack of Christianity. When he refers to paganism, he refers to our spiritual people as well. So very, very scary. While I'm on the topic of sad things and things happening in the world, there's just one thing that I want to get off my chest. I've cried a lot of tears this week over certain things that are happening. I'm going to choose my words carefully, as I always do. And again, because I don't want anyone to form the opinion that I'm anti anybody. I'm not. But there have been some terrible things that have happened this week. Terrible things that have happened to very innocent people, regardless of where you're from, what you believe in, children. And every time I share the plight of these people, and I don't share stuff that often, I do try and keep it as my business page, as witchcraft and paganism, because that's what people have come here for, but it's important to speak out. And every time I do, I have a mass unfollow. And I'm not bothered by that at all. If that's how you feel, if you want to turn a blind eye, then that's absolutely fine by me. But I just want to say that for me, it's a real indicator of how messed up this world is right now. It is so sad. It is so sad. And I just want to reiterate that I will not be silent. If this was happening to a different group of people, I would be speaking up about it still. And actually, there are things going on all around the world right now that need our attention, that need our help. It shouldn't be down to us little people. I mean, yes, people should look after people, of course, but obviously it's our governments that are to blame. They are not helping where help is needed, either our own people or people living in other countries. I want to reiterate the fact that we're all earthlings, and so whichever little group, whichever club, country we belong to, we are all worth the same. But not only are our governments not helping, they are the ones pushing these events, and they're pushing them by not sanctioning other places, by not speaking against it, by trading in arms to these other places so that these things can happen. And as the wife of someone who was in the army for 24 years, that person having seen that he was just used, by people that stand to make a lot of money out of war and who are not prepared to go to war themselves, I see the effects of war every single day. We have to live with it. And I mean that seriously. I thought that if you'd asked me 15 years ago if I thought I would live with the effects of war in my day-to-day life in the UK, I would say no, of course not. Little did I know I would meet a veteran. So yeah, I just want to say that if you can, please help, please lobby your MPs, please give to aid organisations, and more than that, please share, because quite often it inspires other people to do the same. And we need to be the change that we want to see. Obviously, there are dark forces at play, there really, really are. But we have to do what we can do, and we have to speak up. We can't turn a blind eye. This has happened before in history, and this keeps repeating itself over and over again. And that's partly due to the fact that we don't really live long enough, I think, to learn anything. Like my husband says, we need to be alive for at least 300 years as humans for things to change, because we keep making the same mistakes generation after generation. But also there's a reason for that. It's because our governments understand that it makes money. So yeah, I will not be silent. I make no apology for that. And that is not meant as, that's not an attack against any single person or group of people. The point is, I think the people that are speaking up are the people that truly, really love everybody. I think that's the point. I would no more want to see this happen to one set of people than I would another group of people. So in a way, this is political, but at the same time, it's not political. It's about being a human being. So yeah, I will continue to talk, and I will try and do that in a way that isn't, that's the thing, isn't it? I was about to say I don't want to be offensive. at the same time, I should be offensive because it's really important that people, you know, come to understand this. But at the same time, I don't want to bombard people. I don't want them to make them feel unwell. I don't want to stress people and scare them. But we do need to talk about this stuff from time to time. So getting on to lighter and brighter things, which is a bit of a laugh. Let's talk about Litha. Definitely not lighter and brighter here, definitely colder and wetter. But anyway, I've been thinking about the climate and the weather actually, and about these shifts and about the weather I'm seeing at the moment. And I'm thinking about, you know, what would I put on my altar if the weather permanently shifted so that it was dark, it was wet, it was cold, it was grey, and summer solstice and the lead up to it was always like that. Would I have the same symbols, the same magical correspondences? Really? No, I guess, which is what I'm always saying to you, that, you know, one festival in one part of the world, so down in like the furthest point away in Cornwall, is going to look very different to somewhere in Scotland, because geographically there is a lot of space between us, and so seasonally things change and are different. And I'm always pushing that message of your magical correspondences are your own. They're the relationships you form with things. They are your seasons and how they look at that time of year. I suppose we would still be celebrating the sun's zenith. So all those symbols related to the sun, yeah, I guess they would be relevant. But yeah, what if it was dark and wet outside all the time? I think my Litha altar would look very, very different. Hopefully we won't have to worry about that. Hopefully this is just a strange year. I find myself saying that every year though, about Beltane or autumn or one thing and another. Things are very, very messed up, aren't they? But anyway, let's talk about some of the symbols that are related to the summer solstice and Litha. Some of these are mine, some of these are very general, some of these might be on your list of magical correspondences, and some of them might not be. I'm putting all my magical correspondences over in Patreon. So I'm doing some of them this year, some of them next year, because I just have a ton of information. So if you would like to join our online grimoire, obviously come over and have a look. Yeah, I'm just loving it. But anyway, going back to decorating. So symbols for your altar or general Litha decorations, acorns. So these are obviously related to the Oak King. You could include oak leaves as well. And I think they represent the strength that's associated with the oak, which kind of also ties in with the strength and the power of the sun at this time of year. Bird feathers. Now, the reason I like bird feathers at this time of year is because I very much relate this time of year to birds. And I don't know if that's just because I'm out and about more, I'm hearing the dawn chorus, I'm looking at the starlings nesting above the kitchen in our roof. But yeah, I very much associate birds with this time of year, and you know, seeing them fly in the beautiful blue summer sky. For me, the summer is all about birds. Besoms, you could put them on your altar at any time of year, really, couldn't you? Candles, so the flame, the light, the heat, you know, just the feeling that having a lit candle gives you, for me, is the same as the sun. Circles, discs of any kind represent the sun. So an equal armed cross. So for me, this is very much that solar influence and aspect. So if you think of a solar cross and you have the equal arms of the cross, which are the solstices and the equinox, the wheel of the year. So if you imagine that cross in the centre of the wheel of the year, and then you obviously have the cross-quarter festivals. Sorry, the cross-quarter festivals, I always get mixed up. No, there'd be the cross-quarter. Let me come back to you on that one. I'm having a complete brain fart, which is mad because I've taught this for years, but my brain's like, no, yeah, no. Anyway, if you're a woman of a certain age, you'll understand this. Pinwheels, again, the cross of the solstice and the equinox. I want to say the solar cross. I want to talk about this, also known as the sun cross. So it is the circle with the cross through it. This is not a neo-Nazi symbol. It's not a symbol of white supremacy. Now, people that are involved in those worlds might have taken that on since World War II. God, I'm really struggling today. World War II. But this symbol has been around. It's been in existence for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It was used in Neolithic to Bronze Age periods. It was used extensively in European prehistory during this time. In ancient Egypt, this symbol with the circle around it means village. So it's a very, very old symbol. I would like to see this symbol reclaimed. It makes me really, really sad whenever I see someone use the symbol and everyone piles in on them and says, this is a symbol of white supremacy, it's a Nazi symbol. Yes, there are people that have taken that symbol in the same way that Hitler took the swastika and he amended that for his own use, but that doesn't mean that the origins of that symbol or even that symbol means that and that only. People really need to do their research, because quite often symbols that are used for bad things have quite often been pinched from somewhere else and have been taken out of context and used in another way. I would really love to see this symbol come back. It's a beautiful symbol. It is so old, and our sun is everything. It's what sustains us. It's what grows our food. It's what keeps us warm, kind of. It's a beautiful symbol. I would like to see that. So if you come across that symbol and you come across it being used in a negative way, please remember that it is an ancient symbol. It's a symbol of old, long before anyone bad ever got their hands on it. I'm just going to light some more incense because we have run out. Oh, my stomach's rumbling. I need to have some breakfast. I'm on a diet at the moment. I've put on so much weight from having a dodgy ticker for 1.5 years. Now I'm doing better. I need to move a bit more, but it's tricky because I don't want to go out in the cold and wet because I get cold so easily. Right, let's just light this. So other sun symbols, anything related to the sun is good for your altar at this time of year. Sunflowers, they represent the sun, but really any flowers, anything that's seasonal, any fruit and veg that's seasonal at the moment. Citrus fruit, that's very symbolic of the sun. It's got very uplifting sort of top notes as well in terms of aromatherapy. So if you're looking at essential oils, you're thinking about your chamomile, your sunflower, your citrus. Ooh, these sticks are falling apart at the base, right? What else is on my list? So I've put seashells because I associate going to the beach with summer, really. That's pretty much the only time. I mean, I have been to the beach in winter, but I really, really relate beach combing, being warm, being free, listening to the waves. I really, really associate that with high summer. So seashells for me, wheels, any wheels at all. So whether that be an actual wheel of the year wheel, it could be like you might have a harvesty sort of, you might have a plough or something related to the harvest, because at this time of year, traditionally, we think about preparation for the harvest. Those harvest themes are starting to creep in. And again, when I think of wheels, I think of all the stories and legends of the sun being moved across the sky in, you know, sometimes in a plough or in some sort of contraption with wheels in a cart. Or, you know, I think of the sun as a turning wheel itself moving across the sky. So wheels are very much related to this solar idea. So the wheel of the year, garlands, herbs, mirrors to reflect the sun, to reflect the light of the sun back onto us and onto our lives. Any birds or animals that you can think of that you relate to this time of year. So I've got these lovely cards that were bought for me. They're actually postcards, but I like to put them on the altar. And I very much feel that the Wren is connected to this time of year. It's obviously my name, my nickname. And I'm very much active in this part of the year. My birthday's in the summer, but on a more sort of pagan note, the Wren is very much connected to the winter solstice, and I feel like a lot of the symbols of one solstice apply to the other and vice versa, same with the equinoxes. So Wren, postcard of a Wren I like to put on my altar. Fairies are very much connected to both Beltane and Midsummer. We've got that kind of energy. This is the time that they are said to be around and active, and we can connect with them because the veil is thinner at Beltane as it is at Samhain, and this time of the year is a very liminal time, isn't it? The solstice. You are, at the time of solstice, you are between one half of the year, and the next. So we'll be moving from the lighter part of the year into the dark part of the year. So that liminal moment. And then stone circles. So you might have little figurines or a picture of a stone or a stone circle. You might have a charm or a model, or you might have a mug or something with it on. But when I think of the solstices, both, I think of stone circles, I think of them being built with alignment to the sun, as many of them are. So these are lots of things that you can put on your altar. Of course, you can put whatever you want on it, whatever you connect with this time of year. Maybe every single year at the time of the solstice, you travel to Disney. And so you associate this time of the year with Mickey Mouse. Put a Mickey Mouse on your altar. I know that for many wouldn't be sort of very Instagram perfect, and that seems like it goes against sort of this natural feel of paganism and witchcraft, and I agree to a certain extent. Like, I probably wouldn't put a Minnie Mouse on my altar, but if that is important to you and means something to you and carries the magic of the season, then why not? There are no rights and wrongs as to what you have to have on your altar. So we're going to do some cards today. I thought I would give you both a tarot reading and then give you a card from Whispering Woods, Enchanting Secrets from the Forest by Jessica Ellie. It's a strange surname. I wonder if it's missing an E. No, Jessica, fine. Oh, I'm struggling today. I think you can tell, to get my words out. I did actually start to film this video and I did about 19 minutes and then I just decided to scrap it because it was so terrible and it was so awful. I guess doing the witching week at the end of the week is not brilliant for someone like me because my brain is absolutely fried by the end of it, but sometimes I'm okay, so it seems silly not to do it. I feel like I've forgotten something. I feel like there's something that we should discuss and I've forgotten. No, we'll see. I'm surprised the postman hasn't knocked on the door, and I'm surprised the engineer hasn't turned up earlier than he should. Right. 4 cards today. We've got Knight of Cups, we have got the 2 of Swords, we've got the 3 of Swords, and we've got the Emperor. So, challenging decisions, things to work through and try and find a way through. And with the 3 of Swords, possibly having other people muddy the situation by putting in their 2 pennies worth, which isn't always very helpful. So there's a couple of things that you're going to need to do to deal with this week, or, you know, however long this situation plays out for. I think firstly, using your intuitions, being tapped into your emotions, sort of progressing slowly, one moment at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, as you work through this situation. It's worth remembering that whenever people say hard and hurtful things, it is good to put yourself in this situation. Like, what is making them behave that way? What is making them say these things? Is it me, or is it them? You know, what have they got going on in their life? And basically, we've got a Major Arcana card here. So the biggest message there from the Emperor is to take a route of creating law and order out of the chaos. You know, take a slightly more authoritarian, fatherly approach to this, a mature approach. Yes, tap into those emotions and those feelings and those intuitions. Yes, be aware of what other people are saying and think about it, but be prepared also to let the things that other people say go if it's not relevant and if it is not helpful. Take a measured approach. Take the position of order, law and order, and you will find a way through this. But work steadily, go slowly, don't charge into this situation, and you will be able to come up with a solution and a plan. You have to unite your heart and your head. It's very much the message of last week, isn't it? To, you know, even write a list of pros and cons if you need to work out what it is that you need to do to be able to make these decisions, these challenging decisions, these challenging situations that are coming up for you at the moment, to find, you know, your way through. And then hopefully this energy will shift soon. It'll be interesting to see what comes out next week. Are we going to have similar cards with a similar message? We had this one last week. The cards were well shuffled, they were very well shuffled, and yet this energy remains. You know, there are challenging things to work through, there are decisions to be made, and whether we want to or not, we can't avoid them. I'm smiling now because I'm thinking maybe this is partly a message for me. No matter how much we might pretend that something is a particular way, no matter how much we might pretend that we don't have to deal with it if we don't want to, no matter how much we might turn the other cheek, it's not the way to deal with it. That's not a resolution. A resolution is actually working out what you're going to do. It's getting to the crux of the matter and dealing with it. So the way to do that is slow, steady, methodical, organised, ordered. Use your emotions and your creativity and your intuition to come up with these answers, but also take that mature, fatherly approach. So a mature approach, not just an emotional one, not even just a sensible one. It's not even just about using your head or your heart. It's about engaging all of that. That is a mature thing to do. So I'm going to give you a card from Whispering Woods now. I was going to do that first, but I think it makes more sense to do it at the end of that reading. Okay. I won't cut this one because I'm not shuffling these for as long as I am when I do the tarot readings, which is why I always cut it there, so that you're not watching me shuffle for like 5 whole minutes. Okay, so the message is humility. Flowers are unaware of each other's beauty. They bloom regardless. Isn't that lovely? I love this deck. I must say I don't get it out very often, but there's a reason for that, because when I do, it's always really, really accurate. So I only rely on it for when I really need a message. I was actually sent this by a lady called Mel who watches, so thank you, Mel. She's also a member of our Patreon, so if you're one of our members and you're watching, you might know who I'm talking about. But thank you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. If you've watched all of this and you're new to the channel, please give me a like, and please subscribe. It only takes a moment and you won't miss any of my other videos. So with that, I'm still shuffling, wishing you a wonderful weekend and a very happy week, and I'll be back next Friday with another episode of the Witching Week. All right, love and blessings. Bye.